Hello and welcome back to my second blog, which is covering my illness, my treatment, and hopefully and potentially my full recovery. As stated before, I have prostate cancer and I'm going through radiotherapy treatment to eradicate the cancer cells. I said last week that I was due to start my 11th radiotherapy treatment this week, and by Friday it will be my 15th treatment. They have all gone by reasonably successfully. I had a couple of issues with my rectum, but it not being, I'll explain that a bit later, but it was not presented correctly. So that they had access to the prostate area that they needed to get to. It is a bit of a palaver every morning to try and make sure that you drink sufficient water to get your bladder out of the way, and you go to the toilet to do number twos, so that your rectum is also out of the way. Otherwise they start to fry your rectum, which is not a good thing. In my case, every Monday I have a treatment assessment whereby I sit with a radiographer and discuss the week's treatments, how things are going, how I feel, is there any support, that sort of thing. There are apparently support groups throughout the country that are run by people that have suffered from prostate cancer, and there are support groups. So if you're finding it's getting to you, it might be worth your while perhaps finding your local group and join and see if they can just help you through it by talking about it and sharing their experiences, similar to what I'm doing here in these vlogs. I feel that I'm very lucky because I had a preconceived idea that when I went for radiotherapy treatment I would be sitting in a waiting room full of dour, ill, suffering people, a club that I really didn't want to join, but felt that it was probably what was going to happen. To be honest, everybody I've met, and all these men, because obviously it's only men, are extremely friendly, very welcoming, and have described their symptoms and their problems, which aren't that many, to be perfectly honest, and have made it so much easier for me to understand what's going to happen or what's happening now. And the camaraderie is unbelievably good. So I thank all of them, Phil especially, because he really took me under his wing, and we got on really well. Well, fortunately for him, unfortunately for me, he's now finished his treatments and is presumably or hopefully cancer-free and will remain so. Before I was diagnosed with prostate cancer, I didn't realise that I had a prostate problem, and I spent quite a while wondering why I was finding it difficult to urinate, and the frequency. I was peeing often but little, and I assumed, because I'm a diabetic as well, that was part of the tablets that I were taking were diabetic tablets, and they were making me pee a lot, but obviously they weren't, and it wasn't. So I eventually went to my GP and explained my situation. She did a rectal examination and said that my prostate felt quite large, and immediately, probably a bit too dramatic, but she then arranged for me to go down to my local hospital, which is Hinginbrook in Huntingdonshire, and that's when the whole thing really kicked off. They did a scan on my bladder and found that it was full to bursting. So they decided that they would immediately catheterise me and drain all of this urine from my bladder. It turned out to be 2.2 litres of urine that was in my bladder, which was causing me to feel very ill, breathless, and tired and unable to do much without feeling quite worn out. I was then taken over to Peterborough Hospital, because that's the parent hospital to Inchbrook, and was admitted to the urology ward because my heart and my kidneys were affected by the poison of the urine in my system. So I was there for a few days and was catheterised, permanently catheterised for all of that time. And when I came home, I had a catheter strapped to my leg and was put onto some tablets, I think, if I remember correctly, which was supposed to shrink my prostate so that I could pee more easily. I didn't like the catheter, I must admit. I found it made me feel really old, and I don't want to feel any older than I am. But you have to go with it, and I did. And after they think the tablets had worked, they removed the catheter, and I was asked to drink quite a bit of water, walk about for half an hour or 3/4 of an hour, and then try and pee, and nothing came out. So it was decreed that my prostate had closed the urethra and hadn't shrunk at all. So I was then introduced to the world of self-catheterisation, which was horrendous to start with. The thought of it was really off-putting, but I persevered and became quite adept and used to it, and I preferred it, to be perfectly honest, to the thought of having a permanent catheter and a bag strapped to my leg. Just didn't like that at all. So that's as far as I got there. The self-catheterisation lasted several months, in fact, and I was due to have a TURP, a transurethral resection of my prostate, and that was cancelled a couple of times because of me, not because of the NHS. I was ill and unable to. I was unable to go for the first appointment to have the operation, but eventually I had it, and the operation itself was perfect. I mean, you lay on a trolley, they put you to sleep, you wake up in a bed, job done. I mean, that was no issue at all, but a little bit painful afterwards when you're sort of peeing out some chippings and stuff like that, but that soon passes. A few painkillers, job done, you know, get on with life sort of thing. So that sort of brings the story up to that part of it. I'll continue with it next time. Today is a weekend, it's a Saturday, so I'm back in for radiotherapy treatment on Monday, which will be my 16th of 37. So I'll see you next time and bring you up to speed on how I am and what's going on. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't, and share if you would. That would be brilliant. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.